Namaste Yatirajayo Vivekananda Suraye Sachi Sukha Sarupayo Swamine Tapuharine. Learned members of the faculty, brother monks, brahmacharis, and very dear students. Now coming to my convocation address in the capacity of the Chancellor of this deemed to be university, Swami Vivekananda said, I quote, "As I look back upon the history of my country, I do not find in the whole world another country which has done quite so much for the improvement of humankind." Unquote. In his lecture, I again quote, India's gift to the world delivered at Brooklyn, New York in 1895, Swamiji says, India has given to antiquity the earliest scientific physicians, and according to Sir William Hunter, she has even contributed to modern medical science by the discovery of various chemicals and by teaching you how to reform misshapen ears and noses. Even more, it has done in mathematics for algebra, geometry, astronomy, and the term of modern science. Mixed mathematics were all invented in India, just so much as the 10 numerals, the very cornerstone of all present civilization, were discovered in India and are in reality Sanskrit words. In philosophy, we are even now head and shoulder above any other nation, as Schopenhauer, the great German philosopher, has confessed. In music, India gave to the world her system of notation with the 7 cardinal notes and the diatonic scale, all of which we enjoyed as early as 350 BC, while it came to Europe only in the 11th century. In philology, our Sanskrit language is now universally acknowledged to be the foundation of all European languages, which in fact are nothing but jargonized Sanskrit. In literature, our epics and poems and dramas rank as high as those of any language. Our Shakuntala was summarized by Germany's greatest poet as heaven and earth united. India has given to the world the fables of Aesop, which were copied by Aesop from an old Sanskrit book, Hitopadesha. It has given the Arabian Nights. In manufacture, India was the first to make cotton and purple dye. It was proficient in all works of jewelry, and the very word sugar, as well as the article itself, is the product of India. Lastly, she has invented the game of chess and the cards and the dice. So great, in fact, was this superiority of India in every respect, that it drew to her borders the hungry cohorts of Europe, and thereby indirectly brought about the discovery of America. The Indian education system produced great scholars such as Charaka, Sushruta, Aryabhatta, Varahamihira, Bhaskaracharya, Brahmagupta, Chanakya, Chakrapani Datta, Madhava, Panini, Patanjali, Nagarjuna, Gautama, Pingala, Shankaradeva, Maitri, Gargi, and Tiruvalluvar, among numerous others who made seminal contributions to the world knowledge in diverse fields such as mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, medical science, surgery, civil engineering, architecture, shipbuilding, navigation, yoga, fine arts, chess, and more. But there was a time when India lost its primacy in education, in arts, in music, in science, in mathematics, and so on. While India went into slumber, the world marched ahead. Age of enlightenment bypassed India. Liberty, equality, fraternity, reason, tolerance, human rights, application of scientific method to social and political thinking, rejection of superstition, the ideas which transformed the Western society and lead to industrial age didn't touch our shores nor disturbed our slumber. This slumber was broken when an unknown young man of 30 years appeared in Chicago at the inaugural meeting of the Parliament of Religions in September 1893. In the words of Sister Nivedita, I again quote, "And as he spoke, in the youth and noonday of the West, a nation sleeping in the shadows of the darkened half of the earth, on the far side of the Pacific, waited in spirit for the words that would be born on the dawn that was traveling towards them to reveal to them the secret of their own greatness and strength." Unquote. Romarola, the French Nobel laureate, calls this as the Lazarus come forth moment for India. He asks, I quote, "Did the dead arise? Did India, thrilling to the sound of his words, reply to the hope of her herald? Was her noisy enthusiasm translated into deeds?" And himself answers, "India was hauled out of the shifting sands of barren speculation, wherein she had been engulfed for centuries by the hand of one of her own Sannyasis. And the result was that the whole reservoir of mysticism, slipping beneath, broke its bounds and sprayed by a series of great ripples into action. The West ought to be aware of the tremendous energies liberated by this means. The world finds itself face to face with an awakening India in huge prostrate body, lying along the whole length of the immense peninsula, stretching its limbs and collecting its scattered forces." Unquote. Failure to pay heed to Swami Vivekananda's teachings while formulating education policies from the time of independence is the cause of many of the ills that is affecting our education system today. Swamiji's scheme of education aims to create a band of men and women who would combine in their lives the spiritual idealism of the East and the material practicality of the West. I quote, "Can you become an Occidental of Occidentals in your spirit of equality, freedom, work and energy?" Swamiji asked. And he answered, I again quote, "This is to be done, and we will do it. You are all born to do it." Ramakrishna Mission's efforts in starting various educational institutions to teach the secular subjects like modern sciences, technology, vocational oriented sciences, arts, English, etc. on the one hand, and the spiritual subjects like the ancient Upanishads, Sanskrit, Vedic literature, etc. on the other, was to create a complete human being, all round and fully developed in the 3 H's, heart, head and head. We must have life building, man making, character building assimilation of ideas. What we want is that education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's feet. Unquote. Thus, Swamiji has given us the roadmap for future. The future of education in India holds promise, but also demands radical changes. Here are some key areas that need attention. Number 1, holistic learning. Shifting from a focus on rote memorization to holistic learning that fosters creativity, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. 2, technology integration, leveraging technology for personalized learning, digital resources, and online courses to bridge educational gaps, especially in rural areas. 3, vocational education, encouraging vocational and skill-based training to equip with students with practical skills, making them job ready. 4. Inclusive education, ensuring inclusivity for marginalized communities and addressing gender disparities in education. 5. Quality assurance, implementing stringent quality standards for both public and private educational institutions to maintain a high level of education. 6. Research and innovation, encouraging research and innovation at all levels of education to promote scientific and technological advancements. 7. Teacher training, investing in teacher training programs to ensure the educators are well equipped to impart modern and relevant knowledge. The Education 2030 framework for action, which was adopted by 184 UNESCO member states, including India, seeks to, quoted, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all by 2030, quoted. To achieve this lofty goal, our country has formulated National Education Policy 2020 after extensive consultations across the country with all stakeholders, including Ramakrishna Mission. The NEP 2020, taking cue from Swamiji's teaching, lays particular emphasis on the development of all creative and potentials of each individual. It advocates the development of not only the cognitive capacities, but also social, ethical, and emotional capacities and dispositions of the students. It presents a roadmap to develop an education system that nurtures good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper and creative imagination with sound ethical moorings and values. It aims at producing engaged, productive, and contributing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and pluralistic society as envisaged by our Constitution. The education system should facilitate the harmonious development of the personality where sufficient avenues are available for the channeling of the human energies in a constructive and creative manner. It should ensure the training of the mind to will rightly and efficiently, of the heart to feel nobly and expansively, for the brain to think clearly and logically, and the organs to function effectively and moderately. Speaking about this harmony, Swami Vivekananda said, I again quote, "What we want are Western science coupled with Vedanta, Brahmacharya as the guiding motto, and also Shraddha and faith in one's own self." In a lecture delivered by Dr. Abul Kalam, the former President of India, on 11 September 2012 at Ramakrishna Mission, New Delhi, said, I quote, "We have seen that the seeds of peace in the world have their origin in the righteousness in the heart of every individual. Such righteous citizens lead to the evolution of enlightened society. Education with value system has to be so designed that the righteousness in the heart is developed in young minds. That should be the mission of education. Parents and teachers must inculcate moral leadership amongst children. It requires the ability to have insights into the uniqueness and universality of human consciousness. True education is the acquisition of enlightened feelings and enlightened powers to understand daily events and to understand the permanent truth linking man to his embodiment, human and planetary." In 1994, UNESCO formed the International Commission on Education. Its chairman was Jacques Delors of France. That's why the report of this commission is familiar as Delors Commission report. That report bears a wonderful title, learning the treasure within, that is, there is gold in our heart, and the effort to excavate that gold is education. The gold that is in the heart, the attempt to bring it out, that is education, learning the treasure within. The Taylor's Commission says that in the coming 21st century, education would face many crises, or in the words of the Taylor's Commission, we will be facing this tension throughout this century. Without understanding these tensions, one can't understand why the National Education Policy 2020 has to be brought. What are these tensions? Firstly, the tension between the global and the local. How can we become world citizens without losing our roots? Secondly, tension between the universal and the individual. That's how can the globalization of relations enrich the unique character of each individual. Thirdly, tension between tradition and modernity. That is, how can we adjust with the fast changes of sciences and technologies without turning our backs on the past? In another language, we need to be modern, but not at the expense of our tradition. Fourthly, tension between the long-term and short-term considerations. That is, how can we create policies that require persistent strategies in a world sustained by momentariness? The immediate need may be to construct a building, but to meet that immediate need, it must be seen that there are many valuable trees there. They have to be cut down. Even if the immediate needs are met, we will suffer in the long run. This is a crisis that the education has to deal with. Fifthly, tension between extraordinary expansion of knowledge through electronic gadgets and human beings' capacity to assimilate it. Every one of us has a mobile phone, but there is a limit to how much information we can digest. This tension is going on with us. Lastly, tension between the spiritual and the secular. That is, how can we encourage each and everyone in accordance with their traditions and convictions to fully respect spiritual pluralism, to lift our minds and spirit to the plane of transcendental. That's how in the stage of extreme competitions we can realize that unselfishness is God. The language of the Taylor's Commission is wonderful. We find echoes of Swami Vivekananda in this report. The National Education Policy 2020 is an attempt to address these tensions mentioned by Taylor's Commission. At the end of my oration, I sincerely wish that the issues raised in my deliberation be pondered over, discussed, debated, be reflected upon, and above all be envisioned by the learned speakers during the respective talks. I earnestly pray for the commendable success of this convocation. Before I wrap up, I must thank Swami Atmapriyanandaji, the Secretary of the RKMVERI Center and Pro-Chancellor of this deemed to be university, for having remembered me for this excellent occasion. I must congratulate our learned Vice Chancellor Swami Sarvottomanandaji for successfully organizing this convocation, and that too in style. Before taking leave of you, once again I must congratulate the students who will receive degrees today at this convocation. All the best to all of you. Thank you so very much.